Hey everyone, it's KCT. Welcome to my channel if you're new and welcome back if you're not. Today we are going to be looking at a video by our dear friend Trisha Paytas. As a preface for this video, I am not a Trisha Paytas fan at all. I think she has a very long history of finding different marginalized groups, kind of inserting herself into them, and then making a few videos on it, and then never talking about it again. And I think that's really harmful to the people in those groups because Trisha is such a big YouTuber and a lot of people know who she is. And so if people are looking up to try to find more information, her videos might be some of the first that they'll see. And that's not a great first introduction into any community because even if these are things that Trisha does have, which I'm not here to say she has it or doesn't, she is not educated enough on these topics to have in-depth conversation about them. And so her kind of taking this spokesperson-like role in these different communities is not good and harmful. She also does a lot of mukbangs, and I have a very deep issue with mukbangs. I actually wrote a paper on why I don't like mukbangs, but I'm gonna make a video on that at some point, so stay tuned, I guess. I will do my best not to let that cloud my analysis of this video, but I wanted to talk about it because she discusses the current virus in a not very helpful way. She starts by talking about how, according to doctors that she's spoken to, it's just a flu, which it's not. So the name, the very general name of this new illness is the blank virus one, is actually a general name for a number of different illnesses, usually associated with mild common illnesses like the common cold. However, this one has never before been reported in humans, and our antibiotics don't work against it, and we have no vaccine, which is why it's so deadly. So its R naught is only 2 to 3. So if you guys don't know what R naught is, it's basically how infectious an illness is. So the measles R naught is, I believe it's 12 to 18, which is basically per one person that gets an illness, that's how many people they're likely to infect. So 2 to 3 is still higher than we want it to be. In order for a disease to be considered essentially eradicated from humans, the R naught has to be below 1. So I believe that R naught, the last time I checked, is actually for this new virus between 1.5 to 3.5, which means it's increased since the last time I looked, which was about 2 weeks ago. So that's why self-quarantine is so important. But anyways, she further goes on to say that it's fine to get illnesses because you can live through them. This part kind of reminded me of that video Vanessa Hudgens made where she was talking about how, yeah, people are gonna die, but that's inevitable. Not a good thing to say, especially because so many people are being affected by it. She also says that she doesn't see a reason to stay inside for 2 weeks. And to that, I would say, it's probably not 2 weeks. It's probably closer to 2 months, at least, because experimental studies are very expensive. They take a really long time, and you need a really large group of people to experiment on in terms of this new vaccine. And the vaccine has now been administered to a few people, I believe, but it's going to be over a year before it's available for the masses, which means you're likely looking at a longer quarantine than 2 weeks. But anyways, she says that only people who are at high risk should stay inside. Obviously, older people and immunocompromised people are at a naturally higher risk for illnesses, but this disease is killing people of all ages, really, and of all different, varying health conditions. So it's not just harming older and immunocompromised people. Not that that should matter, the fact that older people are dying should still be important enough that people should respect this, but regardless. She then further says that, and I quote, she says, "I hope I'm not coming across as insensitive." Trisha Paytas, you are coming across as insensitive. You're basically saying that death is inevitable, the same reason that Vanessa Hudgens got so much hate. Actually, no, it's not hate, it's criticism, because it's valid and it's not just mean. Like, that's a very callous thing to say when you have such a large audience. Like, you really should be thinking through things more, and maybe vlogging in your car makes you feel that it's a little more personal and stuff like that, but you still need to watch what you're saying in situations like that. She then basically complains about how awful it is to be in isolation, but she's literally throughout her video driving around and going to, like, well, I think the first place she went was a gas station to, like, and she bought food there, and then she went to, like, an ice cream place to buy food. Like, that's not isolation. Isolation means literally the only times you're going outside is for essentials, to the doctor, or that, like, 1 walk a day thing that people get where they still have to be in, like, social distancing. To me, driving around and going to fast food places is not social isolation. And I mean, maybe there is a reason that somebody would have to go to, like, a fast food place. I don't know. I'm not trying to judge. But Trisha Paytas definitely makes enough money to be able to buy food, stay at home, and cook at home. I don't know if there's really a reason that she would have to go out, but she is in her video, and I mean, I haven't watched any of her other videos, but I'd assume that most of her vlogs are kind of like that. Then she says something that was actually a good point. Actually, a couple times though, I do want to say, she does a couple times say, like, oh, don't panic, like, it's not helpful to panic, fear doesn't help, and she's right. But there's a difference between needless panicking, where people are, like, panic buying, like, toilet paper and stuff like that, to people being cautious, social distancing, self-isolating. Like, that level of cautious is good and important and healthy. Buying all the toilet paper in the store, probably not. But she does say one more thing that I did actually agree with, or that I wanted to address. So she was like, when do we even know if this virus is over? That's a good point, because we don't know when it'll be over. But it's not going to be over in 2 weeks, and likely won't be over in 2 months. Again, I think it'll only be over once we have a vaccine, which is over a year, but that's just my personal opinion. Now, she switches topics in this kind of last bit of the video. She says that she's not going to talk about DID, which, if you guys don't know, she recently claimed to have dissociative identity disorder, which is a really terrible mental health condition. I did talk a little bit about it in a previous video, so you can watch that if you want, but basically she just really disrespected the community and has been making some pretty controversial videos on it. So basically she says that she's not going to talk about it, and then launches into, like, 5 minutes talking about it. I don't actually know how long it was because I was playing the video on, like, 1.5 times speed, but she talks about it for the rest of the video. Basically, she says that she's been told she has traits of a bunch of things, which, Trisha, having traits of different conditions doesn't mean you have said condition. She also says that she doesn't consider it a diagnosis to have traits, which is good because you shouldn't consider it a diagnosis. She also then says that she hasn't had a diagnosis, and if you haven't had a diagnosis, you shouldn't be saying you have something. You can say that you think you might have something, but you can't say you have something with absolute certainty until you've been diagnosed. Then she says that it's not offensive to call somebody crazy, which, if you guys don't know, she made a whole video ranting about Dissociated and Anthony Padilla. See, I do know how to say his name properly. And basically, she called Dissociated crazy. And Dissociated is somebody who has dissociative identity disorder and has made their entire channel about it. Really great channel. Definitely would recommend you check it out if you want some more information, or just if you're looking for somebody new to start watching. But basically, then she's like, it's not offensive to call somebody crazy. And if she had DID, she would know that it is offensive to call somebody with DID crazy. If you have a mental condition, you can call yourself crazy, or you can call yourself a name, but you can't apply that name to somebody else in that community. That's not how it works. You'll probably offend people. I know Dissociated suffered a lot from this situation. If she actually did have it, she would know that it is offensive to call somebody in the community crazy. Crazy is not a good term to apply to people struggling with mental health issues. Her last thing that she says, I actually think it might be the last phrase she says in the entire video, I could be wrong, but I think it might be, is, if you all get offended, you need to get off the internet. Well, I'm not really sure. Who was it who made like 4 videos being offended that people were trying to educate you on dissociative identity disorder? I think you're totally allowed to get angry at things that people tell you on the internet. That's totally valid. But you can't go around telling people that they're not allowed to get offended if you're getting offended and you're not getting off the internet. It's very hypocritical. I don't really care. I think it's valid to be offended by people questioning you. I mean, I don't think it's valid to get offended by people trying to educate you, but it's valid to get angry if you feel that people aren't like respecting you or whatever. But you can't make statements like this and not expect backlash, because that's just so hypocritical. Like, you can't tell people that if they get mad, they shouldn't be on the internet, or they should take a break and just like not respond to the negativity when you've made like 5 videos responding to the negativity. And you're still making videos because people still, I guess, want your opinion or input or want to know more about this condition you say you have. I am sure that you have some mental health issues, Trisha, and everybody who's made videos on this are sure of that. And we want you to get the help you need, but you need to go to a doctor, you need to get diagnosed, and you need to stop making harmful content about things that you don't necessarily understand. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out, everyone. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.